The story starts with a boy, abandoned and left to die by his own father. He tries to survive in this cruel world. While the boy is running for his life, a car follows him and tries to run him over. The boy survives the hit with minor injuries, as the man watches him bleed. Fast forward to the year 2001 in Vladivostok, Russia. The boy is running in the woods and navigating his way through obstacles, as the Russian man, Pavel, narrates his survival rules loud and clear. The boy rolls over the slope and takes cover by a stone, while aiming at the makeshift target. As he's about to shoot, a wolf makes an appearance from behind the bushes. While Pavel reminds him of rule number 2, never keeping the witness alive, the boy still hesitates to kill without a reason. Pavel takes out his pistol to teach him how it's done, but the boy pushes Pavel's arm, derailing his aim. The wolf eventually escapes, while Pavel punishes the boy by tying him to a tree. Pavel is a Russian assassin who took the boy in when he was left to die. Now, he trains him in his own way, because, in his eyes, this world has a rule that is the survival of the fittest. The boy unties himself before dusk, but has no energy left to pick himself up from the ground. As he lifts his head, he sees the wolf he saved earlier, looking face to face like it came by to thank him for saving its life. The boy looks deep into the wolf's blue eyes, realizing they both have the same colored eyes. But it's not just the eyes, they both have the same natural instinct, which is to survive in the wild. Fast forward to 2017 in Busan. The boy has grown up to be a young man named Kim Soo-hyun, who has walked straight on the paths of Pavel and has become an elite assassin. He disguises himself as an electrician, while working on his plans to install a hidden camera in the vent of the Red Mafia's villa. On the other hand, Pavel has gone past his retirement age but is still living in his dark, curtained home. Old Pavel has dementia but is not ready to give up his assassin life. After seeing a few things relocated in the house, Pavel thinks that he is tailed by his enemies, and now they are in his house to kill him. With killer instincts, he quickly exchanges his rosary with a gun and slowly walks down to the basement. In the basement, it's Soo-hyun, taking off his assassin equipment after a long day at work. Pavel, clearly not remembering Soo-hyun and thinking he's an intruder, opens fire at him. Soo-hyun just manages to take cover behind pantries and jumps in on close combat with Pavel. Pavel stabs him on the shoulder with a knife, but luckily, Soo-hyun gets his arm around Pavel's neck, choking him down until he sleeps. As Soo-hyun can't go to the hospital, he stitches his shoulder wound himself. His well-defined back is full of scars, each telling a story of the lone warrior. After treating his wound, Soo-hyun spies on his target through the hidden camera. The target is Karamov, the head of Moscow's Red Mafia gang. While giving a brief about the target, Pavel forgets the name of the target. Soo-hyun worries even more about Pavel's worsening condition that he suggests he take retirement from his career. Without considering the advice, Pavel tells Soo-hyun that he can handle the job, and he should move on and become independent. Then, Pavel hands Soo-hyun a taped picture of his family, where Soo-hyun was a child. He wants him to find his family and live a normal life, but Soo-hyun rejects the idea as Pavel is his family, and he's not going to leave him alone. Before going to bed, Pavel breaks his rule number 1 and reveals his client's identity. About 17 years ago, when Soo-hyun was running for his life, it was his father who ordered Pavel to kill him. While Soo-hyun is asleep, Pavel goes on his own to take down the Red Mafia's leader, Karamov. He gets in position with his sniper and aims at Karamov. As he's about to pull the trigger, his hands start shaking, and before he can stabilize his aim, he loses the target from the scope. Pavel is a stubborn old man who doesn't want to accept that he's growing old and it's time to retire. Instead, he stealthily sneaks into the villa to take down Karamov. Soo-hyun follows Pavel for his backup. As Pavel casually passes by the guard recognizes him as an intruder and calls for more guards. Pavel indulges in physical combat, but soon gets outnumbered and finds himself in deep trouble. The guard stabs him with a knife and shoots him in the leg. Just in time, Soo-hyun intervenes and takes down 2 guards. The last guard, who is the son and personal bodyguard of Karamov, manages to hold Pavel at gunpoint and drags him away. The guard tortures Pavel and demands to know who sent him, but Pavel is ready to die rather than give out the information. Without hesitation, the guard shoots him in the chest. While the guards are interrogating Pavel, Soo-hyun sets up a time bomb in the vent and follows the vent to Karamov's room. He holds Karamov at gunpoint and demands he gather all his men in the room. Karamov's son takes the bait and leaves Pavel alone. Soo-hyun finds Pavel heavily wounded on the ground. As Soo-hyun tries to help Pavel, he rejects his help and urges him to leave. but Soo-hyun is determined to save Pavel, so he carries him out of the villa. On the other hand, the Red Mafia crew gathers in Karamov's room, asking for his urgency to call everyone here. Little do they know the boss is dead, and Soo-hyun has made a fool out of them. The time bomb does its trick, and the villa explodes in fumes. Soo-hyun frantically tries to treat Pavel's wounds, but he rejects his treatment. Pavel knows that his time has come, but he's happy to see Soo-hyun by his side. Then, the last moments of regret take over Pavel, as he apologizes to Soo-hyun for raising him in this way. He holds Soo-hyun's hand and asks him to promise that he will leave this path and live an ordinary life. Before Soo-hyun says anything, Pavel takes his last breath, leaving Soo-hyun alone and in disbelief. He shakes his body many times, but his soul has already departed. While Soo-hyun is grieving Pavel's death, he receives a picture of his family from Phillips, who is his friend and business agent. The picture is the same as the one given by Pavel, so Soo-hyun immediately calls him. Phillips had a new lady visitor offering a handsome amount of money for taking her as a client. However, Soo-hyun rejected it as he was giving up his assassin's life. The lady offers to send a picture related to his past for every target assassinated. There are a total of 6 targets, and she'll send a picture for each successful assassination. Phillips briefly explains to him on the call. Soo-hyun accepts the job, but first, he asks him to arrange a place for him to stay, as the Red Mafia has trailed him to his place. Soo-hyun tracks his first target, an old man hunting a deer. As the man approaches the edge of the cliff and aims at the deer, Soo-hyun comes running like the wind and jumps in the air, lassoing the old man's leg. The man falls off, while Soo-hyun hangs tight with a rope on the cliff. The man is injured but still alive. Soo-hyun injects some fluid into the man's ear, making his heart stop. He takes a picture of the target as proof. The next day, when the news comes out, it turns out that the old man was the renowned CEO, President Yoo Dae-hwan. A special investigation unit police officer, Do Hyun-jin, arrives at the crime scene. While everyone thinks that it was an accident, Hyun-jin looks at President Yoo's face and reads his expressions as if he was trying to talk before dying. She believes that it's a homicide case rather than a slip-and-fall accident. As she's inspecting the crime scene for more evidence, Officer Park introduces himself conservatively. Officer Lee explains that Park is dismissively behaving because Hyun-jin is younger, but in a more senior position than him. Hyun-jin moves on without being bothered by the disrespect. On her way back, she sees Soo-hyun trying to rescue an injured fawn. Apart from being an assassin, he is also a veterinarian. Hyun-jin throws the dart needle and immobilizes the running fawn. As Soo-hyun tries to rescue the animal, Hyun-jin offers her scarf to cover the fawn's eyes. Soo-hyun rejects her help and carries the animal to his truck. Hyun-jin confronts him for his rude and unappreciative behavior. Without arguing, Soo-hyun apologizes and takes her scarf. He then hands his business card to her. Hyun-jin doesn't seem impressed by how rude he is, but she tells him that she will call if she ever needs his service. She drives off with disappointment. Soo-hyun regularly goes to a restaurant near his house. He goes there to get a special lunchbox for her apartment owner. The restaurant owner seems busy fighting with her junkie husband, who is demanding money from her to waste it on drugs. The husband picks up a chair to throw at her, but Soo-hyun stops him and asks the lady to prepare him the special lunchbox. The man seems upset with Soo-hyun for intervening, but he lets it slide as he is not in any position to confront him. Soo-hyun takes the lunch and heads towards his veterinarian shop. Sul-ji-ai, the schoolgirl owner of Soo-hyun's vet office building, joins him to eat her lunch. While eating, she curiously asks about the scarf hanging on the side. Soo-hyun is busy working, so he replies nonchalantly to all her questions. Hyun-jin Sr. comes with a shocking forensic report that the needle found at the crime scene had traces of the lethal poison and President Yoo's DNA at the tip, but there were also traces of cocaine, implying that the killer was a drug addict. This comes as a shock to Hyun-jin, but before she can give her 2 cents, Officer Park and Officer Lee rush in with confirmed evidence of their suspect. Soo-hyun had framed the drug addict and abusive husband of the restaurant owner, and the police arrested him in a heartbeat. Hyun-jin critically observes as the restaurant owner frantically pleads that her husband cannot kill anyone. The officer gives her no explanation but instead tells her to lawyer up. In the interrogation room, the abusive husband twitches from drug withdrawals and frantically takes off his shoe to unveil a syringe. As he prepares his arm for the injection, the police force breaks in and holds him down. Hyun-jin warns him of the consequences of his acts, but the man only cares about feeding his addiction. While the whole office goes out to celebrate solving the case, Officer Hyun-jin stays back late. She believes that the drug addict man is not capable of holding himself straight, let alone dragging someone off the cliff. Officer Lee joins her as they both share the same feeling. They are trying to connect the dots, but it's baffling to get anywhere with the amount of evidence they have. While on her way home, Hyun-jin is too distracted by solving the case in her mind that she runs over a cat. She rushes out of the car and finds the cat injured. As she panics, not knowing what to do, she remembers the vet, Soo-hyun, rescuing an injured fawn who gave her his business card. His clinic is nearby, so she hurries and takes the cat to him. On one hand, Soo-hyun is an assassin who blows his targets' heads off. On the other hand, he's a kind veterinarian with infinite compassion for animals. He does a successful surgery, and the cat is out of danger. This gives a sigh of relief to Hyun-jin. Before leaving, she looks around the clinic and tries to make small talk with Soo-hyun. But Soo-hyun, being Soo-hyun, keeps it short. Sul-ji makes her way into the clinic and gets jealous seeing Soo-hyun talking to Hyun-jin, but she picks her dinner from the table and leaves. When everyone leaves, Soo-hyun makes his way to the hidden chamber. He sends Yoo Dae-hyun's picture to Phillips and in exchange, receives one of his pasts. As Hyun-jin looks for a place to stay, she decides to move into Soo-hyun's building. Sul-ji, who is the owner of the building, shows her around the house. Hyun-jin points out the shortcomings and demands for renovation, but Sul-ji, being a stubborn schoolgirl, straight out rejects her appeal. Soo-hyun, from an assassin's perspective, doesn't want an officer to live in the same building, but she decides to take up the space. From the get-go, Sul-ji does not get along with Hyun-jin as she points out the flaws in her building. But that's not it. Hyun-jin finds out that the lift doesn't work on the 4th floor. She confronts Sul-ji about it, but Sul-ji tells her that the lift is for the owner only. Hyun-jin scoffs at her response before driving off for work. As Sul-ji is marching towards her school, she gets ambushed by some men who are trying to kidnap her. These are her uncle's men, and her uncle is after her vast properties. He's an evil person who's trying to unjustly take over Sul-ji's properties, as she is young and vulnerable. Luckily, Soo-hyun arrives at the scene and slowly marches towards them, but before he gets any closer, Hyun-jin appears beside him and warns the kidnappers to fly away. She's not being taken seriously, so she borrows soda cans from Soo-hyun and throws one with full force. She misses the first one, but the second one takes out the man leading the coup. She takes out the other 2 guys with fists, and a little help from Soo-hyun from behind, showing an overall team effort. As Phillips's house is raided again by the Red Mafia, he calls Soo-hyun and asks if he's okay. Soo-hyun tells him not to worry before hanging up. Soo-hyun is walking to his clinic, and Hyun-jin decides to join him as they live in the same building. They share soda cans while talking about the events that occurred in the past few days. Although the talk is pretty one-sided, with only Hyun-jin sharing her thoughts, Soo-hyun is a good listener. Upon reaching the clinic, Hyun-jin meets her cat and gives her some patting on the head. While Soo-hyun is internally waiting for her to leave, she sits down and starts talking about Sul-ji and her past. Sul-ji lost her parents at a very young age, and since then, she had no one except filthy relatives chasing after her wealth. Soo-hyun knows this very well, as he and Pavel were the ones who made her an orphan, but he could not bring himself to kill a young child who watched everything happen in front of her eyes. While Hyun-jin discusses her past, Sul-ji happens to be around. Hearing their conversation, she gets very upset, since she doesn't like anyone prying on her past and sympathizing with her. The Russian gang, Red Mafia, drugs young girls and uses them for sex trafficking. The cops tapped his location, and so did Soo-hyun. Hyun-jin sneaks into their hideout building, disguising herself as a technician, but she is not prepared for what's ahead. From a camera hidden in her glasses, she spies on their hideout. As she starts asking too many questions and being over-nosy, the mafia gets super suspicious of her behavior, but she keeps her character until a captive girl escapes out of one of the rooms. One of them tries to drug Hyun-jin, but she fights her way out. She is outnumbered and in real danger, but then Soo-hyun makes an entry and leads everyone to a room. He single-handedly takes out a half-dozen guys with fists and kicks, like a real badass. As Hyun-jin's backup arrives, she goes after the Red Mafia's leader. She confronts him on the rooftop with no way to escape, but the Russian Mafia guy is just too quick for her. He fires at Hyun-jin without even giving her time to realize. That's when Soo-hyun makes a surprise appearance, pulling her hand and shielding her. He takes the bullet to the back but saves Hyun-jin. Hyun-jin keeps looking into his eyes as he holds her with one hand, and shoots the Russian guy with the other. Eventually, the guy escapes, and Soo-hyun runs after him, but Hyun-jin is still stunned and reflecting upon what just heavenly interaction she had. Hyun-jin tries to stop Soo-hyun, but he goes after the Red Mafia's boss. Her backup arrives late as usual when everything's been taken care of. Soo-hyun remains unlucky, losing the Russian man in the streets. But he keeps reminiscing about how he saved Hyun-jin and how close he was to catching the Russian guy. As Soo-hyun is working in his clinic, Sol Ji-ai enters the clinic and greets him with a smile. He asks her if she could kick out her new tenant, Hyun-jin. Sol Ji-ai, being curious, tries to investigate if the two of them had a fight. But every time Soo-hyun feels that she is talking extra, he tells her to go upstairs. On the other hand, Hyun-jin is still thinking about the Russian guy that escaped. She blames herself for getting so close yet not being able to take him down. She gets a call from Officer Lee, who informs her that CCTVs were unable to catch him, and now he's vanished like a ghost. But Hyun-jin firmly believes that he's hiding nearby, as his crew was caught and his business is ruined. Amidst all the chaos, Hyun-jin doesn't forget to celebrate her birthday. She brings a cake to Soo-hyun's clinic and does a mini birthday celebration together. Hyun-jin asks Soo-hyun if he has any friends that he misses. Soo-hyun may seem like the type of guy with no feelings in his heart, but deep down, he also misses his long-lost childhood friend. It was a warm talk between the two of them, and probably for the first time, Soo-hyun shared something personal about himself with someone. He goes to his secret chamber, where he has kept the paper planes that were given to him by his childhood friend. He looks at it with hope and sadness, and visits a rare happy memory. Soo-hyun has the most unexpected guest in his clinic, Hyun-jin's foster mother. Hyun-jin and her mother are not really close. She offers a handsome amount of money to Soo-hyun for keeping an eye on her and reporting every ins and outs of her daily life. She tells him how she is concerned about her daughter as her line of work is very dangerous. While considering her concerns, Soo-hyun respectfully rejects her offer. When Hyun-jin enters her apartment, she is shocked to see new and expensive furniture in her house and her fridge full of food. She finds out that her mother visited and brought all of the stuff. While she appreciates it on the call, internally, she is very upset about how she breached her privacy. Her foster mother developed a mental illness when her child passed away, so she adopted Hyun-jin and treated her as a replacement for her first child. But she was never loved. Hyun-jin heads to Soo-hyun, and before she complains about her foster mother breaking into her house, Soo-hyun sits her down to treat her wound on the face. As he is busy bandaging her face, he sees the Red Mafia standing across the street and watching him. The Russian guy has found his address through Phillips, and now Sol Ji-ai is in danger. Soo-hyun is worried as the Russian guy is after Sol Ji-ai. Soo-hyun picks her up from school and even hands her a whistle to blow in emergencies. But, of course, why would Sol Ji-ai take anything seriously? She starts blowing whistles for fun, which frustrates Soo-hyun, but he can't tell her that she's in danger. After calling Soo-hyun for lame reasons, she wickedly laughs. But then, she gets in danger for real as the Red Mafia's boss sneaks into her house. She frantically runs for her life, but she has nowhere to run. She tries to blow the whistle, but the Russian guy smacks her on the floor. Our hero assassin comes to her rescue just in time. Facing for the third time in fierce physical combat, Soo-hyun makes sure to give him a good smacking. While throwing punches at him, Soo-hyun sneakily chips a tracking device on his collar. The Russian guy again escapes after getting an embarrassing defeat. But this time, Soo-hyun won't let him go far away. Hyun-jin takes out the Russian guy's hideout information while interrogating his crew members. While Hyun-jin takes the whole police force to arrest that man, Soo-hyun rides on his bike solo to get his revenge. He may never show it, but Sol Ji-ai was like her family, and attacking her was the biggest mistake the leader of the Red Mafia made. He tracks him down and gets to him before he escapes the country. Soo-hyun points his gun at him, as the Russian guy slowly walks backward. As soon as his hand moves to reach his weapon, Soo-hyun shoots his hand. Soo-hyun feels rage, so he's not in the mood for the little tricks. The Russian Mafia guy is trying hard to buy some time. He offers to tell Soo-hyun about his past with all the names linked to it, but Soo-hyun has had enough of him, and he blows his brains out without a second thought. The police find the Red Mafia's boss on the dock with a bullet in his forehead. Hyun-jin knows the guy in the mask got to him before they could. Little does she know that the guy in the mask is Soo-hyun. The doctor from the forensic finds some important clues and calls Hyun-jin to disclose them to her. The bullet on the head tells that the killer was very competent. Of course, Soo-hyun is competent, but the important finding is that the cuts on the red mafia guy's leg have a specific cut that matches with cuts on President Yu's body. The blade used in the homicide is so unique that it can't be found anywhere in Korea. It's hard to digest for Hyun-jin that it's the same killer who killed President Yu. Meanwhile, Soo-hyun, who's an assassin, is slowly falling in love with the detective Hyun-jin. He has started noticing her, like how she buys vegetables from an old lady and shares tea with a stranger. He now likes to hang out with her even if he doesn't accept it, but he has started liking her. It's genuine to see Soo-hyun not forcing a heartless man persona on himself, and actually showing his true emotions. The old vegetable lady hands him a bag of vegetables, thinking he is Hyun-jin's boyfriend and he should carry it. They do look like girlfriends and boyfriends as they are always together. Hyun-jin smiles at Soo-hyun before they walk away together. Phillips, who is now living with Soo-hyun after escaping from the Russian mafia, hands him a photo of his next target. It's Seo Won-suk, who's the congressman of Korea, but actually, he was involved in a lot of dark things that went on a couple of decades ago. Soo-hyun gets into the action, taking pictures of his target from afar, then spies on him at the airport, looking for that perfect opportunity to get close to the target. Mr. Seo's daughter calls a vet to treat her ill cat. Guess who she called? Soo-hyun is more than an assassin. He is a renowned vet in the area, and he's been called to Seo's house. It's his perfect chance to investigate his past. While treating the cat, Soo-hyun sneaks into Mr. Seo's private work area. Using some tech gadget, he unlocks the safe and takes out a file of the Hansol orphanage. Turning page after page and taking pictures, he is not finding what he's looking for. The number 88. His long-lost friend used to give him paper planes with the number 88 on it. So, that number is somehow linked to him. Is he one of the children from the Hansol orphanage? He finds the number 88 child profile, but the picture is missing. Someone intentionally removed the picture as they wanted to remove every proof of his existence. But now he knows that the number 88 is a male. The closer he gets to his past, the darker his past seems. Something was going on in the orphanage. Phillips breaks an interesting update about the Hansol orphanage. Searching for Seo Won-suk and Hansol orphanage was forbidden in Korea, but Phillips is naturally gifted when it comes to hacking in computers. He gives Soo-hyun the orphanage's location, and Soo-hyun gets on his way. The coincidence is that when Soo-hyun breaks into the suspicious orphanage, Hyun-jin also ends up there at the same time. Hyun-jin is told about this orphanage by her new prosecutor, who is weird and always trying to flirt with her. The moment they enter the orphanage, they start remembering. Soo-hyun remembers paper planes, his only friend, and how he was dragged out and taken somewhere unknown. It was the last time he saw his friend. Or was it really the last time? He knows that he is the number 88 of this creepy orphanage. On the other hand, Hyun-jin is also inspecting and looking for clues about her friend. She gets to the hole in the wall that is covered with bricks. She removes the brick and remembers that this was their secret passage from where they would exchange planes. The number 88 would bring her something to eat, while she would make paper planes for him. As Hyun-jin is inspecting the wall, she senses that someone is watching her. Soo-hyun, hiding behind the corner, watches her closely. Is Hyun-jin her long-lost friend? As Hyun-jin leaves, Soo-hyun investigates the orphanage and finds a name tag, Lee Young-eun. It was the same name written on one of the paper planes. Phillips doesn't understand the connection between the two, but Soo-hyun exactly knows what it is about. Officer Hyun-jin from the 4th floor and his childhood friend Lee Young-eun, who made paper planes, are the same person. He feels sad about how their life was robbed and how they were abandoned. He remembers how they were treated at the Hansol orphanage, never having enough to eat. He doesn't remember how he survived when every other child at the orphanage went missing. Hyun-jin was adopted by the chairman, Do Jae-hwan. Chairman's wife, Young So-yeon, wanted Hyun-jin to become a ballet dancer, but she never felt happy doing ballet. After taking a trip to the orphanage, Hyun-jin returns to her apartment. When she sees a bike parked in the corner, she notices it is the same bike she saw outside the orphanage. Of course, it was Soo-hyun's bike. While talking to Sol Ji-ai, she finds out that Soo-hyun stares at her door often like he is thinking about her. Sol Ji-ai calls them out for behaving weirdly and excluding her from everything. Hyun-jin gives a forceful smile and asks her about the bike. Now her doubts turn into certainty. Soo-hyun is number 88, but she still has to confirm it, so she invites him and others to dinner. Soo-hyun finds a paper plane in her house. He unfolds it and finds Happy Birthday number 88 written on it. Hyun-jin cannot control her emotions as she watches Soo-hyun take a picture of the plane. Now both know about each other's secret, that their friendship starts at Hansol Orphanage. Hyunjin and Soo-hyun talk about the Hansol Orphanage. Soo-hyun calmly listens as Hyunjin talks about her dark past. While she was not fed well, they forced her into doing labor. It was a total abyss until Soo-hyun came into her life. He was like a torch in her dark life, and she held tight to his light. At night, Soo-hyun goes to Seo Won-suk's house to get answers to his questions. While holding Won-suk at gunpoint, he asks about the incident that happened at Hansol Orphanage 19 years ago. He frantically refuses his involvement with the incident and pleads not to kill him. As Soo-hyun is about to pull the trigger, Won-suk's granddaughter enters the room, reminding Soo-hyun of Sul-ji when she was hiding in the corner, terrified. Soo-hyun cannot bring himself to kill Won-suk in front of his granddaughter, so he lets him live. Soo-hyun was once an elite assassin with no emotions in his heart. He would pull the trigger without giving second thoughts. But now, he seems to have emotions and feelings, which is the weakness of any assassin. He looks at all his guns, contemplating his life. He is an assassin, and he can't change that about himself. Phillips, when he sees Seo Won-suk alive and healthy on live television, he gets shocked. He was expecting Soo-hyun to finish the target, but now he's in trouble as the client will hold him answerable. He rushes to Soo-hyun and shows his frustration, knowing that Soo-hyun never fails to kill a target. He must have intentionally let the target live. Soo-hyun is tired of killing. He tells him that I'm tired of living a life like this. Phillips cannot believe it, as he has always got the job done. He calls him weak and blames Hyunjin for messing with his mind. Soo-hyun tries to calm him down, saying he can talk to his client and explain everything. But after arguing for a while, Phillips leaves frustrated. Phillips tries to explain the situation to his client. The client sends him a picture and tells him to forward it to Soo-hyun, as it will compel him to carry out their missions. On the other hand, Soo-hyun warns Phillips to find his client's whereabouts, as he is done taking missions and wants to directly know about his past. Soo-hyun visits a funeral house, where he finds a picture of a girl. It is the same picture as the one sent by the client when he killed the first target. Surprisingly, he sees Hyunjin written on the frame. The girl in the picture is the real Hyunjin, who died around 19 years ago. Lee Young-eun was given the name Hyunjin when she was adopted by Yoon So-yeon, mother of real Hyunjin. The more Soo-hyun gets into his past, the more confusing it gets. Soo-hyun waits for Phillips in his office to investigate the client. He looks again at the picture she sent. Soo-hyun guesses that the client already knew about the death of Hyunjin. He believes that the client knows something about his past, so he must find her. Phillips is convincing him to kill the targets and get the money and photos, as that is the easiest way. As he leaves his house, Soo-hyun receives a threat call from the client, warning him to do as they say, or someone close to him will lose their life. Soo-hyun doesn't give much attention to the threat, and tells them to do as they please. But then he hears the client revving their car. Soo-hyun sees Hyunjin crossing the road, lost in her thoughts. As worry takes over him, Soo-hyun rushes to save her as a car approaches her at full speed. Soo-hyun jumps at the right moment and saves her life for the second time. Without saying a word to Hyunjin, Soo-hyun goes back to the clinic. He is furious with the client. He wants Phillips to find her by all means. He plans to take down Seo Won-suk when he's busy in the campaign, among the crowd. Not because he is scared of the little threats of the client, but because he wants to show her what he is capable of. He warns Phillips to get him the client, or he will kill them all. Hyunjin and the cops are well aware that the killer might target Seo Won-suk, as his name was in the diary that was found near Min-hyuk's body. Min-hyuk was a reporter and friend of Hyunjin. They found a diary that had names of high-grade CEOs and presidents noted in it, including Seo Won-suk and Do Jae-hwan. Coincidentally, except Seo Won-suk and Do Jae-hwan, everyone was murdered one by one without a suspect. According to Hyunjin, it is a serial killing case, and the next target is Seo Won-suk. She is not wrong, though. Soo-hyun prepares his sniper and takes the position. He takes down the congressman, Seo Won-suk. That too in front of everyone. People start running around in a chaotic manner. Hyunjin feels startled as her eyes run around to find any suspect. She sees Soo-hyun wearing a mask and carrying a briefcase. He's walking nonchalantly, but Hyunjin chases him without informing her colleagues. She points her gun at Soo-hyun and orders him to stop. As she slowly walks towards him, her heart starts beating faster. She remembers his eyes from when he saved her from the Russian guy on the rooftop. Now, she only has to take off his mask and see who he really is. While going for his mask, she drops her guard down. Soo-hyun, in a split second, holds her hand and disarms her. She tries to take him down with her kicks, but Soo-hyun effortlessly takes out her handcuff from her pocket and cuffs her hand on the side. Hyun-jin has never been this frustrated before than she feels right now. She nearly had him. She gets some scolding from her superior officer for letting the killer walk away. She feels disappointed in herself, but she has no time to sit around and grieve. At least she got a closer look at his eyes. As Hyun-jin prepares sketches of the killer's face, she observes that the sketch resembles Soo-hyun's eyes. Now, she has her doubts about Soo-hyun. She starts questioning herself about how much she knows about him. She searches the hospital where he supposedly works. To clear her doubts, she heads straight to that location to see whether Soo-hyun was there at the time of Seo Won-suk's assassination. She finds Soo-hyun there at the hospital, but she is still skeptical and wants to know if he was there at the time of the assassination. Soo-hyun puts his manager on call and tells Hyun-jin to ask for yourself. The manager attests that Soo-hyun came around 5 p.m. Well, Soo-hyun told his manager to lie to deceive Hyun-jin. On the other hand, we see Philip setting a meeting with the client, Yoon Ji-hae. As he is about to meet her, a few guys to whom he owes money take him away. Soo-hyun comes to his rescue, beating guys double his size without breaking a sweat. He asks Phillips to track the IP address of Ji-hae's cell phone, but that's impossible as she used a VPN before texting him. Soo-hyun orders Phillips to text Ji-hae and asks for the picture that she promised. They receive a picture of Hyun-jin, creating more confusion in our assassin's mind. Then it clicks to him that he should visit Young So-yeon, the foster mother of Hyun-jin and wife of Do Jae-hwan. While standing at the door of Do Jae-hwan's house, he remembers a glimpse of his past. He sneaks into the house and closely spies on the party dinner of the superiors. Jae-hwan talks to Young-hoon, who is the doctor and his partner involved in his dark business. They take out organs from the numbered orphans and transplant them to their rich patients. While a party is going on in the house, somewhere in the middle of the jungle, Jae-hwan is massacring a child. Everything starts to make sense. They would harvest organs from orphan children to sell them to rich and elite patients. Soo-hyun finds out about their dark little secret, and now he's going to take revenge. Soo-hyun now remembers almost everything from his past. He remembers that night from childhood when he rushed to Jae-hwan's house and called for Hyun-jin. Hyun-jin came out and briefly talked before her mom came and took her inside. He clearly remembers how Jae-hwan took him on a car ride and dropped him in a warehouse in the middle of the jungle. In that warehouse, there were other numbered children from the orphanage. Jae-hwan ordered Park Tae to kill all of them. While Park Tae went out for a minute, one of the children told Soo-hyun to run. Soo-hyun cunningly hid under a blanket and waited for Park Tae to go looking for him. As soon as he left, Soo-hyun ran as fast as he could with his little legs. Eventually, he made it out of the warehouse, but Park Tae had already informed Jae-hwan, who came back to look for Soo-hyun. Jae-hwan saw Soo-hyun running in the middle of the road. It was still raining when Jae-hwan rammed the little boy with his car. Soo-hyun was unconscious when Jae-hwan put him in a bag. In the present time, Jae-hwan is talking to a man, while Soo-hyun is hiding behind a curtain. He leaves Jae-hwan's house with two questions. 1. Is Jae-hwan my father? And 2. Why did they kill all the children? Meanwhile, Hyun-jin goes out to dinner with her colleagues. After being too drunk, she comes by Soo-hyun's clinic to talk to him. They talk about their childhood. Hyun-jin tells him that she's glad you are a vet and not some criminal. Soo-hyun doesn't understand what she means by that, so she shares the story of her colleague, who was chasing the leader of a gambling racket for 3 months. When he finally caught him, it turned out that the boss was his friend from elementary school. Hyun-jin tells Soo-hyun that she feels relieved that you were not involved in any criminal activity, or else I would have had to arrest you, which would have been very painful for me. Soo-hyun smiles and asks her what if you were wrong. Soo-hyun uses Philip's phone to send a video to Yoon Ji-hae, knowing this will make her get out of her shell. Ji-hae instantly visits Hyun-woo to discuss it with him. Go Hyun-woo was a researcher working at Do Jae-hwan's biotech company, Saeon. Hyun-woo found out about the dark secrets of Saeon and how Jae-hwan was massacring orphan children. He resigned from Saeon and tried to expose the company, but Jae-hwan was nothing less than evil. He dealt with Hyun-woo by killing his family and framing him for the murders. Hyun-woo escaped and stayed under the radar while planning for the perfect revenge. Ji-hae shows the video to Hyun-woo and tells him that Soo-hyun wants to know about his father. Hyun-woo advises her to be careful and don't underestimate number 88. Meanwhile, Soo-hyun is eager to know about his father and the reason for killing all the numbered children. He remembers his encounter with Park Tae and how he jokes about killing the children. He wants to take revenge on everyone involved in that heinous crime. As a teaser, Soo-hyun sends a video of the illegal organ transplant surgery to Jae-hwan as a threat. Jae-hwan seems worried for the first time, as he doesn't want it to go out in the media. Jae-hwan frantically walks and gets nudged by Soo-hyun and drops the phone. Soo-hyun hands him over and apologizes. Jae-hwan doesn't know that number 88 is thirsty for revenge. Hyunjin's cat falls ill, so she brings it to Soo-hyun. After doing a brief checkup, Soo-hyun finds nothing wrong with her physically as her temperature is normal, but he reveals that she might be feeling depressed. Cats are sensitive animals. They can get depressed if their owners are depressed. Soo-hyun tells Hyunjin to take time out for herself, as she has been busy with work lately. Hyunjin assures him that she will now start taking care of herself. When Hyunjin and the prosecutor Young-woo visited Seo Won-suk's house, they found the safe broken. After interrogating the maid, they found out that Park Tae was only allowed to go near the safe. Park Tae was Won-suk's personal assistant but worked secretly for Jae-hwan. Hyunjin decides to arrest Park Tae and interrogate him. On the other hand, Jae-hwan learns about Ji-hye's true colors. His assistant shows him a photo of a baby's ankle band found in Ji-hye's phone. As he is looking at the photo, Hyunjin visits to ask him some questions. As everything is leading to Jae-hwan and his company, she wants Jae-hwan to answer her questions. She asks him about the Hansol orphanage and the numbered children who vanished with no records. Jae-hwan answers not a single question and instead asks her to leave. Hyunjin has no evidence against him, so she can't legally do anything, but for the least, she knows his foster father is not clean. While checking their mailbox, Officer Lee finds the articles from 19 years ago during the controversy about Hansol orphanage. The article said that multiple skeletons of children were found near the orphanage. The article was taken down the same day it was published, so nobody got to know about it. But today, out of the blue, someone sent those articles to their address. They went to the location where the skeletons were discovered and started digging. After digging for a while, they find the dead body of a lady. Hyunjin and Officer Lee check the CCTV footage to find the person who delivered these articles to their address. The person who sent the articles to their address is Ji-hye, which is the biggest shock as of now to Hyunjin and Officer Lee. Why is Ji-hye helping them in this case? But right now, Ji-hye is captured by Jae-hwan's men, and her luck can't get any worse, as Hyunjin sends a picture of her dropping the mail to the police station. Jae-hwan's assistant informs him about the situation that she sent the articles to a police officer. Jae-hwan stays calm and instructs him not to switch off Ji-hye's phone, as Go Hyun-woo and number 88 will try to reach out to her. Well, he is right. Hyun-woo calls Ji-hye multiple times, but when she doesn't pick up, he asks number 88 for help. He sends her phone's location to number 88 and tells him that if he wants to save the orphan children, he has to follow the location. On the other hand, Hyunjin forwards Ji-hye's number to Officer Lee and asks him to track the phone's location. Hyunjin follows the location and ends up somewhere in the jungle. She finds Soo-hyun's car parked on the side, which startled her. She calls Soo-hyun to confirm if he's here, but as she is on the call with Soo-hyun, Jae-hwan's men attack her. Soo-hyun hears her scream and rushes to save her. He takes on the men solo, knocking each and every one of them down. But in the fight, Hyunjin gets badly hurt. As Soo-hyun tries to check on her, one of Jae-hwan's men tries to stab him from behind. But Hyunjin jumps in and takes the stabbing to her back instead. Hyunjin is admitted to the hospital, and believe me, no one is more worried than Prosecutor Young-woo, who comes rushing into the ward. He asks for her orders as they couldn't get the search warrant to check the warehouse. Hyunjin's mother forbids her to go out on any more dangerous adventures, as she's already in critical condition, but she assures her that she's going home. But before going home, Hyunjin visits the warehouse with the prosecutor, where she finds important evidence. Young-woo drops Hyunjin home. As she turns around, she sees Soo-hyun in his clinic. Hyunjin complains about why he didn't visit him while she was in the hospital, and he doesn't even ask how she is. Soo-hyun stays silent as if he is blaming himself for putting Hyunjin's life in danger, but most importantly, she's curious why she sees Soo-hyun in the places he shouldn't be, like last night near Seon's warehouse. Soo-hyun explains that he went there to treat a dog. Hyunjin wishes well for the dog, as because of this, Soo-hyun got there and saved her. Soo-hyun lets Hyunjin know that she can call him whenever she needs his help. She is happy as now she can see Soo-hyun more often. The next morning, She calls him to drive her to the office. As Soo-hyun escorts her out of the house, the prosecutor, Yoon, is already waiting for her outside. Soo-hyun says that it's better you go with him, as you both are heading to the same destination. Hyun-jin looks at Soo-hyun as she wants to go with him instead. Earlier, Soo-hyun interacted with Do Jae-hwan as his son. When Jae-hwan sat in his car outside his house, Soo-hyun called him to ask the same old questions. This time, he called him his father and asked him why he ordered to kill me back then. Jae-hwan tells him in disdain that you are his biggest mistake. Soo-hyun told him not to worry as the number 88 doesn't make mistakes. As their call ended, Soo-hyun revved his car and sped it into Jae-hwan's car, but turned the steering right in the end, nearly giving a heart attack to his father. After the discharge from the hospital, when Hyun-jin and prosecutor Yoon went to the warehouse, they found Ji-hye's bracelet covered in bloodstain. Ji-hye was brought to the warehouse, where they got rid of her. On the other hand, Soo-hyun installs a camera in the VIP ward at the Haesun Hospital. He is planning to sneak into the hospital and find his answers. Phillips tries to warn him, but we know when Soo-hyun makes up his mind about something, he does it anyway. Soo-hyun finds Chairman Ma in the VIP ward. He is the same old man who received a heart transplant in Seon Hospital. Soo-hyun asks him how he is feeling after stealing a life from someone. The old man starts getting anxious, and his heartbeat starts rising as he gets confronted by Soo-hyun. Chairman Ma desperately tries to press the alarm button, but his hand can't reach it. Soo-hyun presses it for him and leaves. While inspecting the hospital, he ends up in a private lab that seems quite suspicious. He finds numbered bottles lined up on a table, and each bottle contains fertilized eggs. Soo-hyun now understands Jae-hwan's whole dark business. Using artificial insemination, they culminate babies for the sole purpose of serving the elites with their organs. If some elite have a dysfunctioning organ, the Seon company offers them a new organ transplant for a hefty amount of money. Soo-hyun plants the bomb in the lab, and then calls Jae-hwan. He tells him that he knows about his dirty little secret and gives him 3 minutes to tell the whereabouts of all the numbered children. Jae-hwan tells him to do what he wants to do, and he is not scared of him. Soo-hyun doesn't say much but grants his wish. Kaboom! He bombs the lab, and alongside the stored fertilized eggs for the VIPs, all their biotech research burns into ashes. Jae-hwan has never felt so frustrated and angry as he is feeling right now, after seeing his years of hard work turn into flames. Meanwhile, Soo-hyun leaves the hospital and starts following Jae-hwan's troop. He follows him to another warehouse. In the warehouse, he gets into a fight with the goons, and eventually takes them down with minor injuries. Soo-hyun feels sad as he finds no trace of children there, but as he is about to leave, he hears some kids cry in a room. He unlocks the door and slowly walks in. Soo-hyun cannot control his emotions seeing the numbered children unharmed. It reminds him of himself when he was held captive at the orphanage, and then taken away to murder. He is happy and emotional at the same time after saving the innocent souls. On the other hand, Hyun-jin finds the secret room in Soo-hyun's clinic while he is not there. She finds everything she was afraid to know about Soo-hyun. Imported weapons on the wall remind her of the time she encountered the masked Soo-hyun. He was really an assassin. While she finds the dark side of Soo-hyun, she also stumbles upon his soft side. All the paper planes that Hyun-jin gave him, he never disposed of. As Hyun-jin is collecting evidence in his office, Soo-hyun sends her a location. She follows the location and finds a car parked on the roadside. She gets to the car and finds the rescued children. Soo-hyun calls Hyun-jin and asks her if she can protect these numbered children. Hyun-jin assures him that the kids will be protected, but please, we need to talk. She tries to stop him from taking revenge on Jae-hwan, but Soo-hyun tells her that it is his destiny to kill Jae-hwan and put an end to this dark chapter. Hyun-jin hysterically cries because she knows that if Soo-hyun doesn't surrender, she will have to arrest him or, in the worst case, kill him. But Soo-hyun says that he doesn't want Jae-hwan to hurt any more children, and if he gets prosecuted, he will easily buy the system with money. While Soo-hyun has his reasons, Hyun-jin is a law-abiding citizen whose job is to protect the law and prosecute criminals. Soo-hyun meets Phillips and asks about how Sol-ji is doing and if she's safe. Phillips assures him that she's safe. Then, Soo-hyun asks him if he knows where Jae-hwan is. He doesn't know the exact whereabouts, but he knows that he went to kill someone. Soo-hyun asks Phillips to arrange a phone and a car. Soo-hyun warns Phillips of Hyun-jin that she will come after you because she knows everything. Phillips begs Soo-hyun to run and move out to somewhere else and live a different life. But now it's too late. Soo-hyun gently tells Phillips, Meanwhile, at the police headquarters, they gathered enough evidence to arrest Do Jae-hwan. Hyun-jin leads the police force to his house and arrests him for his crimes. They take him to the interrogation room and play his voice memos, where he talks about committing murders. Jae-hwan sits nonchalantly and denies every accusation coming his way. Eventually, he gets released as he has good connections with strong politicians. Hyun-jin and her team watch in despair as Jae-hwan leaves the police station uncuffed. On the other hand, Soo-hyun has decided to assassinate the chairman, Do Jae-hwan. But before, he visits Sul Ji-ai and leaves her favorite meal on the table. When Sul Ji-ai finds food on the table, she instantly knows that Soo-hyun is here, but he's just watching Sul Ji-ai from afar away. He calls her, and they chat for a while, remembering the time spent together like a family. Soo-hyun hangs up the call after saying his goodbyes. He makes his way to Jae-hwan's house, where he is residing with his men, including Park Tae. They hear a gunshot. Soo-hyun is already here, taking down guards one by one. Park Tae takes out his gun and goes out to take on Soo-hyun. Soo-hyun gets a hit on the shoulder, and suddenly, Phillips appears and takes down the guard. As Phillips is asking Soo-hyun if he is okay, he gets shot multiple times all over his body. Soo-hyun pushes Phillips aside. It is Park Tae pulling the trigger. Soo-hyun fires back, putting Park Tae on the back foot. They get into physical combat as their distance gets closer. Soo-hyun is not going to let him go this time around. He sends him flying with a kick and then puts him to sleep by choking his windpipe. Soo-hyun single-handedly takes down the whole army of guards and walks furiously towards the chairman's room. Jae-hwan is ready with a pistol, but he is not as quick as our hero assassin. He shoots him one time, and Jae-hwan falls on the floor. After seeing his death from point-blank range, Jae-hwan starts begging Soo-hyun to let him live. He's ready to give him his fortune of wealth in exchange for his life. Soo-hyun feels so furious, knowing how many children he sacrificed for his monetary gains, that he shoots him again in the leg. Meanwhile, Hyun-jin also arrives on the scene. She points her gun at Soo-hyun and begs him to let him go. Soo-hyun tries to tell her that he will again easily evade conviction through his power of money and put the lives of children in danger again. The police force arrives and surrounds Soo-hyun. Hyun-jin cries as he pleads with Soo-hyun to drop his weapon. For once, when he looks at Hyun-jin, he considers letting Jae-hwan live. But the thoughts of innocent children crying for help, as they get butchered for their organs, compels him to pull the trigger. He fires, and that too, right in the middle of Jae-hwan's head, taking down his last target. The police force opens the burst, resulting in a clean encounter. Hyun-jin breaks down crying as she holds Soo-hyun's hand. Soo-hyun successfully took his revenge, but it was more than revenge.